The best way to introduce this, of course, would be able to say, my name's Greg Neville, I'm sure you're aware of that. A little bit of background, I don't want to go into too much background about where the information's come from, you'll get to see that over the weekend, etc. But probably, was it 1988, I finished a degree as a natural therapist. When you did a degree in that era, you came out known as a doctor of natural medicine. And what did that mean? It meant that you were trained in all the anatomy, physiology, chemistry, biochemistry, all of that, but then you were taught all the herbs, the homeopathics, the tissue salts, the chiropractic, the massage. Generally, anything that was known in natural therapies in that era, you were supposed to have been taught it and be able to practice in it. Nowadays it's a bit different. You can go and do short courses or just a course on homeopathy or a course on herbalism, etc. It wasn't so really back then. You went to one of the natural therapy institutions and you had to get a grasp of all those modalities. All right. The reason why I went to do a course as a natural therapist is I was taught that natural therapists treat the cause of health conditions. And that's what I wanted to get into. I thought that'd be, I was interested in health, and I said, right, I want to treat the cause. Okay, so I went along and I did the 4-year degree, which was great. I learned all the work, studied really hard, came out basically, knowing the stuff they wanted me to know, but there was a problem. At the end of the degree, I didn't know the cause of one health condition. Not one. I mean, what's the cause of an underactive thyroid? What's the cause of MS? What's the cause of Parkinson's? Right? Why would a person get breast cancer and it spreads to the lymphatic when another one it spreads to the bone or to the liver or to the brain, whatever? I mean, they never taught us any of those answers. They did teach us what scurvy was caused by, lack of vitamin C and beriberi. That's about it. Right? So what it meant was, I knew all the herbs, the homeopathics, and what therapy to suggest. But if my client said, I've got an underactive thyroid, what's the cause? Or I've got an autoimmune disease, what's the cause? I'd have to say, I'm sorry, they never taught me. But here's a suggested therapy. But they go, but natural therapists work on the cause. What's the cause? Like, I don't know. We were basically taught, clean them out, fill them up. Detox them and fill them up. And that was about it. Now, for me, that wasn't good enough. I wanted to know the cause, right? So when I began practicing, the owner clinic began practicing with what I was taught. The first thing I noticed, which all therapists get to see, is that if a person's got a certain amount of stress in their life, if the stress disappears, it's very common for the health condition to either disappear or at least abate. Right? And that's one of the first things I ever saw was that. So I said, maybe there's something in that mind-body stuff that you hear people talk about. Now, in that era, they didn't teach the mind-body stuff in natural therapy schools. You heard it, but they didn't teach it. They're, in reference to stress, the only thing you got taught about stress was support the nervous system. Give it vitamins, give it herbs, give it tissue salts. Homeopathics, right? Very much they took into account the mental side of thing within medications, which was good. Flower essences, they were definitely around, been around for a long time, but no, they had no credibility within natural therapy colleges in that era. They came out a few years later into the colleges. They got more credibility then. So what it meant was and also counselling was not a part of natural therapy degree then. It's a long time back. Yeah, so what it meant was when you came out, you really didn't know much about stress at all and how to treat it. You were just trying to support the nervous system and things. So anyway, I began looking around to try and find anything that could show me the mind-body stuff. And what I found was I got some information, but no matter what information I got, I didn't settle for simply what they were telling me. I wanted to see if it was accurate. So what I did was when I clinically went to assess patients to find out, I found that the information that was being shared was rubbish. I could even show why it was rubbish. I could pick out the contradictions in it and clearly show the contradictions. And for one moment they're saying, oh, this emotion causes that condition there. But in the next breath they'll say, and this thought causes this other condition. I'll say, well, make up your mind. An emotion is not a thought. So it's either the emotions are the part that cause a health condition or it's the thoughts. It can't be both. Right? So the contradiction's there. And even when you looked into what they were saying, you could see that it wasn't accurate, not clinically. Maybe saying to a person, oh, you're angry. Oh, yeah, I'm angry. Oh, yeah, that's going to really be an analysis of a person. So I could actually see it was rubbish. And the more you studied it, you never got to the bottom of understanding psychological stress or the health condition. No matter how much you looked into it. It was too general and it was over the place. Meaning the mind-body stuff that they teach out there does not explain to you, right, why the immune system, right, will attack a particular organ. Right? It doesn't get to that. Or why a person can get a form of cancer that will spread to that organ and not another organ, or this organ and another person around. It doesn't. It doesn't get specific in any detail, down to the nitty-gritties. And no matter how much you look at it, you will not get to the nitty-gritties. It'll just stay general. Right. So what did I do? I thought, well, I'm going to have to see what I find. So I went across to Western Australia and I began a research program. Right? And the whole idea of the research program was to see if people with the same health condition, did they have anything in common psychologically with other people with the same condition, meaning something that made it that condition instead of a different condition. Were there any common factors? Right? So originally, say for example, a lady comes along with an underactive thyroid, right? And I go, okay, what are we trying to work out? We're trying to work out the mind-body connection. We're trying to see if there's a psychological trigger to the health condition. Well, you've got two sides there, haven't you? You've got the health condition, and then you've got the psychological realm. So obviously you're trying to find a match in there somewhere, right? Well, the physical side, we already know what that is. The doctors have taught us anatomy and physiology, right? So we basically know what the thyroid's about. We know the physical side, right? So you've got to then see if there's a psychological component that's influencing that. And do all people with an underactive thyroid have that psychological component, right? So how would you do that? How would you actually do a program like that? How would you do research in that? Well, I was taught when I was growing up that if someone's stressed, they're worried about something. So I thought, hey, probably the first thing you should ask them is, are they worrying about anything? Is there anything concerning them? And get to the bottom of whatever it is that's concerning them and see if other people with thyroid conditions have got the same concern. And see if there's any link between that concern and the thyroid, right? So I did that. Lady came through, and of course I've got in the head what the thyroid does in the body. We know what that is, right? And when I asked her, is there anything worrying you? Okay, she opened up, and she started to tell me about the things that were worrying her, right? And it just so happens that I noticed this. The exact thing that she wanted to talk about in life, the exact thing she was worried about, matched word for word precisely what the thyroid does in the human body. Right? So I thought, hey, that's interesting. The very thing in life that she was worrying about matched exactly what was happening physically in the body. Now I saw that, boom, so I thought, okay. And after she left me, I documented that. Next thyroid patient comes along, same question, same thing. She wanted to talk about exactly the same thing in life. Next one, same thing. Next one, same thing. All the other clients, kidneys, MS, whatever, they all spoke about different subjects, completely different. Didn't even look like bringing up that topic. So what I found was I was finding there was a common factor in people with underactive thyroids. Something they all had in common psychologically. It just so happens that the thing they were worried about matched exactly what the thyroid does in the body. So I thought, okay. So I went and saw a doctor, a GP in the town. And I said, listen, I'm doing this type of research, and I go, you see many more patients than me, right? Have a look. I said, listen, I am finding this. But anyway, you have a look and, tell me what you find. And a month later he came back and goes, yeah, he goes, every one of them. He goes, exactly, every one of them. I said, yeah, interesting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I got a psychologist on board and I said, yeah, I want to be doing this the right way. Can you check what I'm doing? Can you see any problems with how I'm going about it? And she had a look at it and she goes, no, actually the way you're doing it is exactly like a double-blind study. I said, yeah, I thought it was. So anyway, she couldn't falter it. Now that was many years ago. I continued with the research for about 7 years and I covered 50 health conditions. Came back over the eastern states and I started touring up and down and I lectured at the universities. I was actually going to Nature Care College for many years there, lecturing there. In Melbourne, at La Trobe Uni, Dr. Roosevelt Malexter, he's a GP. He came along. He's into the mind-body stuff. He checked it and as a GP he looked and goes, geez, that makes sense. But anyway, went back, tried it on his patients, found out it was always accurate, so he came on board. We've been working as colleagues now ever since. Right, he's one of my best mates. We now cover about 100 different health conditions. We show exactly, what's behind it all. But hey, so what? So what if you know exactly the psychological trigger to a health condition? The next step is what do you do about it? If you know if the person's thinking that it causes that health condition, well, that way of thinking is not such a great way, is it? Or what is a correct way to think? What's a better way to think? What's the health condition trying to teach? So what it means is this. In the beginning, it started out as an investigation into the psychological triggers to health conditions. But of course, very quickly had to evolve into something else, right? It had to evolve into understanding the cause and cure of psychological stress. Meaning, if a person's stressing about that, what's making them stress about it? Where's that coming from? Psychological stress in society is rampant. Depression, I don't know, was it 1 in 4 or something? What's the cause of it? What is it society's doing that's propagating it? Where's it coming from? So it's fun doing the mind-body stuff and getting to understand the various cancers and things, which we do. A person comes in with a particular cancer now, I can tell you straight away what the trigger is and what the lesson is for it. Right, we can show you, we'll show you. Simple. Once you know it, it's easy, right? But hey, so you know exactly what thought causes the health condition. What is interesting is getting a thorough understanding of psychological stress, getting to the bottom of psychological stress in society. Then what's interesting is having a really good look at what is propagating it. Meaning, most people do not start by getting to the bottom of psychological stress. They don't do that first. Because when you get to the bottom of really what's causing the stress, what people really worry about, and then have a look at the various philosophies that are out there that people are being taught, you can then clearly see which of the information out there is actually making the stress worse compared to which information out there actually fixes it. But people don't do that. They're just out there teaching those philosophies, not aware that underneath it's aggravating exactly the stuff society's already worrying about. But people can't see it. It's interesting when you actually show it to them and show the links. Then they go, my God, I've got a different world here now.